Hello and welcome back to the Get to Know podcast, where, as the title suggests, we get to know somebody each and every week. I'm saying that, but to be fair, it's not each and every week. It's been a little bit chaotic and random recently with the podcast, and I do apologise for that, but I'm hoping to get a little bit more consistent with the podcast over the next month or so. Hopefully we can get more guests in and things like that. So yeah, I do apologise for that. But with today's episode, we have a great guest. He is the host of his very own podcast called the Happy Days Podcast, all about self-improvement and things like that. So definitely go check his podcast out. It's called Happy Days, and this is with Callum Church. Hope you enjoy the podcast. Hello, Callum Church. How are we?
I'm very good, thank you. Thank you for having me, man.
No, it's good to have you on. So we start every podcast by playing a little game. So I'm going to go and get... very prepared. My box of cards. It's called the Hygiene Game. So basically, it's a pack of, I think it's about 100 cards. Each has 3 questions on, and so they're going to be completely random questions. Just a little icebreaker. So
okay, all right.
I have no idea what questions we're going to get. All right, so we'll pick out a card. Okay, so what kind of people do you admire the most?
What kind of people do I admire the most? Those that are different, I'd say. The people that sort of, break the mold of, what society wants from people. I think, society sets a lot of standards for people, and I like the people that are different. I did a TikTok the other day about, those that are successful tend to be those that are different, because if you're different, you're more open to change, you're more open to the unpredictable, but you're also more open to growth through that. So yeah, the people that are different, I'd say.
Okay. What is the most annoying sound?
Most annoying sound? I got rudely awoken this morning by some banging from outside, like some builders working or something. I don't know what it was, mate. It was like 7 a.m. I was like, what are you doing? Like, come on. But yeah. I mean, I'm staying up with my girlfriend at the moment in Egham, so not usually where I wake up. But yeah, that was a bit irritating. So probably, loud noises, banging, I suppose.
This is why I like these cards. This is actually the most random questions. Okay, so finally, the last question is there any sport or hobby whose appeal you struggle to understand?
Sport or hobbies whose appeal? I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, I think, everyone has different tastes, right? So it's... What do I struggle to understand? None of them really. I can understand them from everyone's perspective. There's certain ones that I don't really enjoy as much as others, but yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that was that little game, just a little icebreaker. So, Callum Church, what do you do? Let's get to know you a little bit. For the people listening who don't really know what you do, what kind of things are you doing?
Awesome. So yeah, I'm host of my own podcast. It's called Happy Days with Callum Church, and it's a podcast talking about self-development. So it's focused mainly at young people, but it's at all ages really, and it's all about how can we use self-development in order to live happy, fulfilled lives. That's what it's all about. So that's what I do. I also do a little bit of freelance video editing, podcast editing, all that sort of stuff on the side. But the podcast is my main baby, really.
Yeah. So how long have you done the podcast for?
So I started that last October. So God, how long ago is that? 3/4 of a year now, really. Coming round. So yeah. I mean, it was sort of birthed out of the lockdown. With it when Corona first hit, and I just decided I was going to start a podcast talking about something that I care about. So I did it, started it, and here I am today.
So you've always been interested in podcasts, and you've always kind of had an interest in that space.
Yeah, definitely. I was working on podcasts prior to that, kind of like a producer rather than the host, if you like, and I just fancied it. I think podcasts is a really awesome form of media to, have conversations, meet people, network, but also get into the more deeper conversations which self-development has in it. It's a very personal journey when you work on yourself. So I think the best way to put that across would be through a podcast where you get the full context, the full conversation, and everything with that. Yeah,
definitely. So obviously the main sort of focus of the podcast is self-help, self-development, things like that. Have you kind of always been interested in that and done things involving it?
Yeah, I mean, not really, to be honest. As I say, it was kind of birthed out of the first lockdown, really. So I found when I first started really getting into self-help and self-development and self-growth, I kind of found that I was doing these kinds of things subconsciously without realizing it. So certain habits or mindsets that you pick up in order to live a life which is, better, or in order to grow and that kind of thing. So I think it was always kind of there, but it was sort of lying asleep, dormant. And then
Yeah.
the lockdown, where I had more time to sort of reflect and look internally, that's where it kind of woke up a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I think lockdown probably did that for a lot of people. Just time to think and things like that.
Absolutely.
So what's the goal with the podcast? What's kind of like the dream outcome for it?
The dream outcome. I got asked this question earlier this morning. I was on a morning live stream show, and I got asked this, and sometimes I find these questions quite frustrating, because, to be honest, I don't think anyone really knows where they truly want to be in the next few years, because life's unpredictable. We don't know where we're going to be. A year ago from now, if I was sitting there telling myself I'm going to be running a self-development podcast, I'd think you were an idiot, So yeah, I mean, what do I want to do? I just want to impact as many people in a positive way as possible. That's what I want to do. I want to get the UK talking more about self-development. I want to be a bit like a Joe Wicks or a Jamie Oliver of self-development, if that makes sense. So I want to get the UK talking about it, because it's quite it's a topic which not a lot of Brits talk about all that much. There's a big scene over in the US, lots of people talking about self-development over in the US, but over here we're a little bit reserved when it comes to that. We're all very British about it. So it's I want to get the UK talking. I think that would be success for me.
Yeah, I was about to say that, like, back to you midway through you saying that it is definitely like more of a prevalent thing in the US. Like you look at sort of like the LA sort of scene, and it's all about like the eating well and like meditation and whatever. Whereas England, I think, is quite behind on it.
Yeah. I find it crazy how some people just, like, well, obviously I was one of these people, so it's not that crazy, but we all sort of go through our lives without really focusing on growth. And I think it's strange, because is that not the whole point of life, is to grow and get better, just like everything else? Plants, they live to grow. They grow and they flower. People, we live and grow and they flower. That's how life is. That's how life works. So I think we really miss the trick when we don't focus on ourselves and focus on our own growth.
Yeah, definitely. So, what's kind of the like been the path up to where the podcast has birthed? Like, what have you been doing before? How old are you?
I'm 20. So.
Right. So have you been to university, or was it sixth form? And what's kind of been the path so far?
Yeah. So a bit about my background. Basically, when I was going through college, I kind of felt like the education system kind of screwed me over in one way or another, like it does many people. And I was just totally unprepared for adult life. And we all get asked these questions like, what do you want to do when you're older? What do you want to be? Like, what's your purpose? What's your life purpose? And all these questions. And I just got so overwhelmed by it all, for other reasons as well. I started to struggle with like anxiety and like kind of like the cloak of depression over the top. So I guess I started sort of focusing on myself one way or another during that period. And I'm totally past that now. And that's just a part of my background now. So that's kind of what happened. And then following that, I just started working. I was working as a lifeguard, because uni really wasn't the pathway for me. I was fed up with education at this point. I couldn't be bothered, to be honest with you, mate. Yeah. And so as I say, I started working as a lifeguard for a bit, and then I had a bit of an epiphany when I was swimming in a pool, scooping poo out of the pool, literally in a pool full of poo. I was sitting there thinking, I'm getting paid £8.50 an hour for this. What are you doing with your life, man? You know what I mean? So then I got a proper job, whatever that means, a proper job. And I got an office job, basically working as a content producer for a recruitment company. And that was awesome. I grew a lot as a person during that time. And I started to develop skills like editing, podcasting, and all that sort of thing. Decided that wasn't really fully fulfilling me. I wanted to chase after something a little bit more significant than that. So that's where I kind of quit my job, started the podcast, and started working for myself. And yeah, I guess that's my background.
Yeah, definitely. So, okay, next I kind of want to do a little game. So we're going to talk through different like self-help, self-development fads or tips, and I want to know like your opinions on them. So
Okay,
if they're useful or not, do you do them? What's your experience with them? Whatever. So the first one we're going to start off with is cold showers.
Cold showers, yeah. I love cold showers. Cold showers have changed my life. And I know that some of these are a little bit buzzwordy maybe, or fad, is another word that you might describe these things. But I think once you actually look into these things with an open mind and actually try and understand them, you'll realize that a lot of them are actually super helpful. And cold showers definitely is. Do you want me to explain why, or is this
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. So for me, why I think cold showers have changed my life is because when we're growing, you're not growing unless you're uncomfortable, right? You have to be in an area of discomfort to grow. If you want to gain hypertrophy of your muscles, you have to go in the gym and do something difficult like lift weights, right? If you want to be able to run a marathon, you have to train every day, and that's difficult, right? And it's the same with if you look at it from a financial point of view, you have to practice good financial habits, which can be hard. But that's what you have to do if you want to have an easy life. You have to pick your hard, right? So if we need to grow, we need to be good at getting used to the uncomfortable. So if you can get in a cold shower every day, start your day off with something uncomfortable for 2 minutes. It's easy to do, but it's still difficult, if that makes sense. You turn it cold, it's easy to do, but it's difficult. So what you do by doing that, you get used to the discomfort of it all. You get used to being in discomfort. Every single day, you're immersing yourself into something uncomfortable. That can only come to serve you. So if you can get used to being uncomfortable, you get used to growing as a person. That's why cold showers are so great.
Yeah. I've been trying to do them recently. I kind of start off warm and like move my way towards cold because I could not just do it like straight off the bat. But maybe one day I'll get to a point where I can do that.
Oh mate, just get in there cold turkey, go straight in.
I don't know if I could though. I like okay, so I'll have it like warm. I'll like wash my hair down a little bit. Wash my body down a little bit, face down a little bit till I eventually get there, but it is quite hard. Right, the next fad, or well, not even fad, just tip, that we have is waking up early around like 6 a.m.
Yeah, I think it's good. I don't think it's a fad. I think it's good. Obviously, people have different natural cycles of sleep, and some people are night owls, other people are early birds. I'm somewhere in between, but personally for me, I mean, I'm all over the place with this. Some weeks I'll be getting up early, I'll be great. Other weeks like now I won't be, and I'll sleep in a little bit. I've got a change of environment at the moment. I'm staying up with my girlfriend at the moment, so sometimes that messes with your habits a little bit. But getting up early in the morning, I think everyone has an opportunity every single morning, in that it is the basis of what the rest of your day is going to be. If you can start your day positively by getting up early, getting in a cold shower, maybe doing the most difficult task of the day first thing in the morning, then you set the bar for the rest of the day, Think about it. Getting out of bed, getting out of bed the wrong side of bed in the morning. That's a saying, right? You get out of woke up the wrong side of the bed or something. Whatever the phrase is. That's a real thing, because if you start your day negatively, you'll sit there and you'll focus on the negative. You'll be sitting there thinking, oh, I'm late for my bus or something, and I stubbed my toe or something. My life sucks, and you sort of go on this little path of negativity. But it works the other way too. If you start your day positively, do some exercise first thing in the morning, get the most difficult task done for the day. You start ticking off some of your stuff on the list. Eat a healthy breakfast. Little things like that. You'll start to pick out the positive instead. Start getting up early in the morning. Start your day off positively. I think that can only come to serve you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So next up, we have journaling.
Yeah, I mean, I don't journal enough. I should really journal more. Journaling hasn't really been massive for me personally. I've had loads of guests on the podcast talking about journaling. Lots of people I've spoken to who do journal, and it has helped them. Personally, I just don't feel the need to. I suppose because I talk to people more than I write stuff down. So I guess you get that cathartic feeling of getting stuff off your chest. by talking about it, as opposed to some people prefer to write it down. I can't comment on whether it's sort of improved me myself in my life, but I know that it's helped other people. So yeah, I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. Next, we have meditation.
Meditation is massive. It's fantastic. It's absolutely not a fad. Meditation is something which everyone should be doing. And, what it does is helps you to become more conscious, right? That's a strange word and a strange thing to say. It's almost a little bit abstract. Like, what the bloody hell are you talking about, Callum? Helps you to become more mindful, right? And what meditation does, it helps you to separate yourself from your thoughts. Okay, because everyone aligns themselves with their thoughts. When something bad happens and it pisses you off, what do we say? I'm angry. No, you're not angry. You just feel angry at that point in time, right? So what that's what meditation helps you to do. It helps you to separate yourself from your thoughts. And when you align far too much with your thoughts, that's where you start to feel more anxiety. That's where you start to feel more angry. And life just becomes a massive roller coaster of craziness, because you're all over the place, because your thoughts are all over the place inherently. So if we can become more of an observer of our thoughts, and kind of think of ourselves as the screen of the movie that's playing. So let's say our thoughts are the movie and they're sort of playing out. We are the screen. We're not necessarily the movie. We are just what these thoughts are playing out of, right? So if you can do that, I think that comes to serve you. That's why meditation and mindfulness has been massive for me.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I kind of want to dive a little bit deeper into that, as in, like, kind of how you get into that sort of thing, because I know probably a lot of people, and even me a little bit myself, when you sort of say meditation, you think sitting there with your legs crossed, humming or whatever. So, kind of like, how do you kind of do it or get into it?
How do you get into meditation? I think the thing with self-growth is that it's a very personal journey for everyone. So everyone does it differently. For me, the way that I got into meditation was I did just sit there quietly and, do things that people say, like focus on your breath and these kinds of things. And it didn't work out for me at first. I found it quite difficult to be able to do that, because it is hard to meditate. It's massively, it's much more of a concentration thing than a not thinking at all type thing. So I tried focusing on my breath. That didn't work. I started doing more guided meditations, and that's where I started to get the hang of it. That's how you get into meditation. It's everything with growth is a muscle in which you can develop and condition and get better at. So the more you do meditation, the better you are going to be at it, and the easier you'll find it. That's how it worked with me. I couldn't do it alone at first. I started with guided meditations, got used to guided meditations, then started doing it on my own. So that's how I got into it. But research it, man. I mean, for anyone listening, just research it. Because the more you know and the more you understand it, the easier it's going to be.
Yeah, definitely. So moving on then. Next up, we have manifesting.
Yeah, it's a funny thing, because this is very abstract, manifesting. I do believe in manifestation though. I don't, the law of attraction is a thing which people talk about a lot, and it's certainly something I believe in and something which I incorporate into my life. As I say, it's very abstract. It's it's not a thing. You can't feel it. It's just a force which, a faith, I suppose. People put faith in it. But yeah, I do believe it's a thing. Whether that be something strange psychological that we don't yet understand, whether it be, your mindset which might help it, or whether that be some magical force at play. To be honest, I don't know. I just know that it works. So yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Next up, we have to-do lists.
To-do lists. Yeah, it was great. I've got my to-do list right here in front of me. I've got where did I put it? Podcast at 3 p.m. There we go. So yeah, mate, helps me keep organized. Usually before I started focusing on this kind of stuff, I was so disorganized. But to-do list, makes you feel good when you tick them off, which gets you on that positive snowball effect. Yeah, awesome. Good for organization and stuff.
Yeah. Okay, then next we have minimalism.
Minimalism, massive, man. Minimalism is massive. This is the thing. Everyone's, chasing all the external in our lives all the time, right? We want more money, more clothes, better cars, bigger house, all these kinds of things. Minimalism isn't about just getting rid of all your stuff and living out a suitcase or backpack or something. Minimalism is learning how to be happier with less. That's what it is. So instead of chasing all the external, which absolutely does not work, by the way, because there's always more stuff, no matter how big. I think.
Yeah, definitely. And then the last one I have is just reading self-help books.
I mean, as I say, self-development is a very personal journey, and it is the development of the self, right? But it's also great to have someone who can hold your hand a little bit on that. Everyone's journey is different, but at the same time, we're all people, we're all pretty similar. We all experience the same things, same struggles, and all that kind of thing. So if we can take someone else's knowledge and put that into our own journey and into our own capacity for holding this knowledge in our brains, if we can take the wisdom of other people and combine that with our own wisdom, which we have inherently inside of us, we're going to be better people, right? So
yeah, definitely.
Reading's big as well. It's the exercise for your mind, and our whole world is put together in our mind. So if you can exercise that and make that machine better, your experience of the world is going to be better, right?
Yeah, definitely. So, okay, moving on from the tips and things like that, you've spoken to a lot of people about sort of self-help, self-development, and you, I'm sure yourself, have probably looked into it a lot, read it a lot, and everything like that. So I want to know your tips for sort of different topics. So, starting off, tips for improving productivity.
Tips for improving productivity. Fall in love with getting stuff done, I'd say. I think that might be quite hard at first, but I think you've got to want to achieve. You got it. Like, the thing with productivity, I think it does come inherently with drive. I think if you're a driven person and you want these things, if you can really develop that burning desire to have a thing or achieve a thing or succeed within a thing, you're going to be much more driven and focused on getting it done. So yeah, you got to fall in love with the thing itself, and you've got to fall in love with that journey of getting stuff done within that thing, whatever that be, whether that just be whatever you're studying, or whether that be your job, or whether that be a self-development journey. If you fall in love with it, you'll be much more motivated to do it, and you'll be more you just be much more driven to do it. I think that's where productivity comes in. And then you can get into all the little productivity hacks and that kind of thing, but that comes with drive itself, because you explore these things. So just fall in love with it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, the next one, it's kind of similar, but tips for sort of improving motivation. What have you found sort of the best things for that?
Yeah, improving motivation. I mean, the best way to go about this, I'd say, is to focus on what we spoke about before, about starting your day off right and getting that snowball effect. Because we're inherently going to run out of motivation. It's a finite thing. Not everyone's going to be motivated to conquer the world every single day, right? So that's where discipline starts to come in. As well, and discipline is the difference between motivation and discipline is that motivation is doing something when you want to do it, and discipline is doing something when you don't want to do it. Okay. So again, this is just keeping and holding yourself accountable to get something done. I think if you focus on getting more motivation, you're still going to run out of it eventually, right? So that's why you're developing your discipline and getting better at doing things when you don't want to do it, and being held accountable. That's where that's kind of important, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah. And then finally, it might be a bit of a tricky one, but tips for just general happiness.
Tips for happiness. Well, first of all, learn to be happier with less. I think that's massive. Focus on growth, I'd say, because Tony Robbins, progress equals happiness. Tips for happiness. It's difficult because it's complex. It's really complex. There's so many different angles that you can come at this from, and I'm just trying to think on the spot of how we can be more happy. Mindfulness is massive. It is genuinely massive, because if you can become more stoic and not align with your thoughts so much, and sort of ride the wave of life as opposed to being thrown about, I think that'll help you to be happy. Happiness is a strange thing, because happiness is an emotion, right? You can't have happiness without sadness. It's a swing to and fro. So I prefer to think of it more as positivity, to live more positive and live in the positive more than the negative. It's okay to feel negative every now and then. It's okay to feel sad every now and then, because that's just life. And you don't get the sad without you don't get the happiness without the sad. So it's a funny thing, but I think happiness ultimately comes from, just working towards purpose and getting better at dealing with life's shit, because there's always going to be shit. You just got to get better at shoveling it and carrying on.
Yeah, definitely. So moving on then, I want to talk about sort of the process behind creating a podcast. So how do you kind of get guests? Is it just people you know? Is it people you find online? How is it?
Yeah, so it's every guest I get, I've found online in some way. It was difficult to start with, to be honest, because once you have the foundations of a solid podcast where you've got good guests on, the numbers are starting to go up, it's becoming a little bit more attractive, and it's got a bit more of a reputation. That's where the guests start to come easier. So once you get to a certain threshold, the banks burst a little bit, and guests will start coming a little bit easier to you. The way that I find guests is all sorts, through Instagram, through TikTok. I saw a guy's TikTok on there, reached out, messaged him, emailed him, stayed persistent with that, because that's massive with getting guests. You won't always get replies straight away, so make sure you follow up. And yeah, I just got talking to him, had him on the podcast eventually, after waiting about a month for him to become free to be able to do it. And his episode's gone out today. It's an episode with Simon Squibb. He's a hugely successful entrepreneur, like massively successful. And now he helps other people to do the same and start a business and get involved with entrepreneurship. So yeah, I mean, to get guests, find people that interest you, reach out to them, network as much as you can, talk to people as much as you can. And the more you network, the more, the easier your network will be to grow and stuff. So yeah, just talk to as many people as possible, man, and follow up. Yeah,
definitely. So where did sort of TikTok come into play? Because I'm sure that's kind of been a massive step with growth and things like that.
Where did it come into play? How do you mean? How did it come about?
Yeah. Sort of how did you get started with it, and sort of why, and how's it working out for you at the minute?
Yeah, so with TikTok, I kind of identified it as a social media app with massive organic reach. Okay, so with sites like Instagram or Facebook, when you post something, it gets shown to your followers, and that's it. Whereas with TikTok, you can get in front of the eyes of anyone in the world with that app. That's the beauty of TikTok, and the fact that all it takes is one video. One video goes viral, and instantly you're in front of thousands of people. So that was the attraction with TikTok. And honestly, I just got started, man. I just got stuck in. I sucked at it to begin with. I'm getting better now. Recently, I hit 1,000 followers, and I'm not sure exactly how it works, but it seems as if that's sort of the threshold where your videos start to be put out a little bit more to more people. So I'm reaching even more people now with it, and more successful with it. People have messaged me, like yourself, wanting to reach out to me, which makes it easier when people come to you. Right. So it's it's just about getting started, man. And you learn stuff along the way. Just get started, be persistent with it. Persistence is bloody massive to everything. If you want to succeed in anything, you've got to be persistent with it. Just keep going. I started posting every day, made it a habit to post every day if I could. If I missed a day, okay, so what? But I made sure I never missed 2 days in a row, and I just stuck at it, and it's just grown slowly, and now it seems to be snowballing a bit more now. But
Yeah,
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 that's
it
how it's
is.
sort of come about.
Yeah, it is a great platform, especially for, as you said, natural growth. So I want to move on now to sort of a quick fire get to know, where we sort of just get to know you, things
Yeah.
you like, what you do. I say it's quick fire, but if you want to like go off into anything or big conversation about something, then feel free. So we've talked a little bit about it before, but what do you sort of do outside of podcasts?
So outside of podcasting, for money, if you like, I work freelance as a video editor, podcast editor, content producer, essentially. So, people come to me with their content, they need it edited, I edit it for them, send it back. That's what I do for a living. I actually work with a guy called Stephen Bartlett. If you've heard of him, he built a company called Social Chain. He was the founder of Social Chain. It's massive. Recently, he's got announced as the next dragon on Dragon's Den for next season. So that's pretty cool. It's quite cool to be working for a dragon now, which is strange. So yeah, that's kind of what I do outside. Yeah.
Yeah. So TV or film? What do you prefer?
Film. Absolutely. I love films, man.
Yeah?
Studied film at college. Love films. Yeah.
Yeah. What's all your top picks for films?
Top pick off the top of my head, Baby Driver, I think is incredible. I think it's like just satisfying film to watch. I actually really like Pixar's movie Soul. I just love the message behind that. I think Pixar are awesome with the message that they can send to kids as well, and to adults, to be fair. Certainly impacted me. What other movies do I like? The Dark Knight trilogy is just a classic. All the classics like that. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. We're talking about Baby Driver. Have you seen the trailer? It came out yesterday. Same director, doing like a thriller film.
Really? No, I haven't seen that, but I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, it looks really good. I think it's called Last Night in Soho, I think.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I'll dedefinitely watch the trailer. It looks very good.
Who's the director? It's
Edgar Wright.
Edgar Wright, that's it. Yeah, and he done Hot Fuzz and all those awesome films as well. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good director. So favorite music or artists?
Favorite music or artists at the minute? My favorite artist at the moment is Easy Life. Is a band from Leicester, if you know them. And yeah, I mean, with music, I'm one of those guys that just loves everything, everything and anything, from rock to sort of more chill stuff to reggae. I like all sorts of things, actually. But Easy Life are like my favorite band at the moment. Just anything that's positive, anything that's kind of chill. That's my kind of vibe.
Yeah, fair enough. Favorite piece of advice that you've heard?
Favorite piece of advice? Follow your heart is a big one. I think there's a kind of insight that comes with following your heart. I think if you follow your heart, it's strange. It's almost like a weird supernatural force. But if you follow your heart, good things always happen from that every single time. Favorite advice, persistence has been a big one. Like I said, persistence is massive to any kind of success, whether that be big or small. So having heard that, even when it bloody sucked, which it does at times. Self-development's a difficult journey. Entrepreneurship is a difficult journey. Podcasting is a difficult journey. I'm sure you all know as well. So, just knowing that you will get there eventually. You just got to get your head down and keep going. I think that's pretty big advice.
Yeah. Favorite podcast episode that you filmed? If you can think of mine. One. Yeah.
The one that went out today has been awesome with Simon Squibb, just because he's an awesome guy. Really helped me personally. He's just a really cool mentor as well. Really cool guy to be in touch with. Like, the dude's literally a millionaire. You know what I mean? So it's cool.
Yeah.
He's probably my favorite. I've got some really cool ones coming up soon, talking about spirituality and all these kinds of concepts that are a little bit more deep and a little bit more different, interesting, and strange, but I think they're fun to explore. So
yeah, definitely.
I've got some coming up, but the Simon Squibb one's definitely my favourite so far.
Yeah. Okay. So your favourite place that you've travelled to?
Favourite place that I travelled to? I'm extremely fortunate and privileged to go to Barbados with my family. That is a beautiful country, a beautiful island. And I understand how privileged I am to say that. It's pretty beautiful. I'm actually hoping to go to Bali later this year if I can, COVID permitting and all that kind of stuff. So I haven't been to Bali yet, but it looks awesome. Looks like my place. I'm going to go stay there for a little while. So, but yeah, Barbados.
Yeah, fair enough. Favorite subject at school?
Favorite subject at school? See, this is strange because I didn't like school much. I really didn't. And some of the subjects I hated at school, I love now. So favorite subject at school was definitely PE for me. I was big into my sports and stuff. Played football as a kid. But right now, my favorite subject is probably history. You know, probably good to find these things interesting when you go search them up yourself. But yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. A bit of a random one now, but if you had to choose Star Wars, Marvel, or none?
That's really difficult because I'm a massive nerd, all right? I bloody love Star Wars. I bloody love Marvel as well. If I had to pick, I'd probably say Marvel just because it's more, there's more content out there at the moment coming from Marvel, and I think they just do not make bad films, right? Star Wars is really good as well, though, isn't it? I'd say Marvel. Say Marvel. Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Have you got a favorite Marvel film?
Favorite Marvel film? I mean, instantly Winter Soldier pops up. Obviously, Endgame and Infinity War's an incredible movie. Endgame was just the one to top off that sort of phase and stuff of films. Just so many awesome moments during Endgame. So I'll probably say Endgame, but Infinity War's up there, and certainly Winter Soldier too.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so the next question is: regardless of money or time, you can do literally anything in and with your life. What are you going to do?
Travel with a family. That's what I want to do. This is a strange one, right? I have a dream of having a child of my own and raising that child to be an awesome man or woman with really strong values and just a good person. And this is strange because I'm 20 years old, right? I don't know where I got so broody from, right? But yeah, I mean that's the dream of mine is to raise like a really good son or daughter, but also travel as well. I really want to travel, and I just want to throw myself into that soon. Hopefully by the end of the year, but we'll see with COVID.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Before we finish the podcast, I do have one last question that I kind of like to finish the podcast on. And it's a bit of a question, bit of a deep question. And it is, are you happy?
Am I happy? Yes, I'd say so. I would say I'm happy. I think I'm in the right place right now. I'm working towards some really cool stuff. Living true to myself. That's massive. Now I'm doing the podcast, talking about something I really care about. I'm true to myself. Yeah, I'd say I'm happy.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for coming on the podcast. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, thank you for having me, man. It's been awesome.